Welcome back. The retail industry has been busy trying to keep up with Amazon. Another major shift is taking place as consumers today are shunning fast fashion for more sustainable options. Twin sisters Alex and Lindsay LaRusso have founded a clothing brand using scrap fabrics to make clothing, an idea hatched from their nearly 2 decades working for their father's waste management company. Paige Ellis caught up with the co-founders of Nudnik for a look at how they are keeping ahead of the curve in sustainable fashion.
There are a lot of different forms of textile waste. There's post-consumer, which is the clothes that we wear and then throw away or donate. And then there's pre-consumer, so all the waste that's created during the manufacturing of products. We've tampered with both. We've played around with both. But what we really found worked for what we're trying to do, which is create a scalable business model, is go after the pre-consumer waste. We go after scraps of fabric that are left over from the cutting process during major apparel manufacturing, and we use that to inform the design of the clothes that we make. So that's where we get that really cool patchworky vibe, and we really use color intentionally to make it aesthetically pleasing for people as well. But we only use organic cotton offcut fabrics, and we use end-of-roll threads and trims. So these are all manufacturing wastes that typically go to landfill or burned.
How much pre-consumer waste are we talking about here? How much is generated?
So there's enough off-cut fabrics generated annually to give every person on Earth 6 adult-sized T-shirts every year.
And crazy.
Yeah. And we estimate that even if we start doing better with our diversion in our business practices in terms of donating our clothes and being more intentional about the waste that we throw away, it is estimated that there will always be at least 10% of cutting waste. So for us, that's a stream that we can really get involved in and really help kind of minimize going forward.
The fast fashion industry has been under the microscope lately, in part because of its impact on water, the waste water that it produces. How much wastewater do your designs produce?
Well, we produce zero wastewater. Because we're using scraps that we're diverting and that cutting waste, there's zero water in our manufacturing. And our footprint's really low too, because where we partner to get the waste, we also manufacture in-house as well. So we're salvaging those scraps and diverting those from landfill, and we're also manufacturing right there on the spot, and there's zero water used in creating our designs.
Your company has one T-shirt of various sizes, I think ages 1 through 6. You can't clothe a baby just with a T-shirt. So how are you going to scale up and, provide clothing to clothe your whole child?
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, that's really exciting for us. Obviously, the creative parts of us are really jazzed about 2020 because this T-shirt, this Disruptor Tee, that was the first product that we scaled made completely from waste. So we really are happy that we were able to pull that off, and we have so many designs coming out in early 2020. Pants, T-shirts, we're actually expanding into adult wear as well. So yeah, we're pretty excited about that.
So adult wear is feasible? I mean, I think about how the small scraps you were showing me, those would really only be suitable to a small child's T-shirt. You can make adults' clothing with scraps?
We're certainly going to give it a shot. I'd say that every second person that buys a kid's product from us wants to buy one for themselves. So we've made the promise that we're certainly going to put something together. It is being more ingenuitous in terms of how we use that small scrap of fabric and make it aesthetically pleasing without being too patchworky. But we're focusing on the larger sizes of the scrap that we use to be able to make an adult product.
Given what we're hearing about the fast fashion industry, given the Greta Thunberg's whole mission, what do you think the future of fast fashion looks like?
I think the best example is Forever 21. I think that's the future of fast fashion if these brands don't get on board with sustainability. Nudnik's stance is that we'd love to partner with them. I think the ability to collaborate and share our knowledge of how we can make products from waste, and they can give us knowledge or resources, we could come up with some pretty cool stuff as well. But I think that the idea of having to go back into the supply chain and go back and break that really fantastic business model they've been able to scale, but without having any sustainability kind of built in along the way.
I was talking to the CEO of Aldo not too long ago, and they're the first major fashion company to be carbon neutral. He was talking to me about how he gets frustrated when millennials or Gen Zers talk about their eco values, but they're not really voting with their wallets yet. Do you see that contradiction as well?
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's called what we call purchasing power. So every consumer has the ability to use their purchasing power for good. And that's what we're really trying to encourage. For Nudnik, we're trying to give basics, products that people would love to put their kids in every day and make it a price point that's affordable. And I think the more businesses that put out good sustainable products as alternatives, the more it'll be easier for the consumer to purchase those over traditional fast fashion.
Mm-hmm. I was intrigued to learn that Toronto is considered an importing-exporting hub for textiles. Can you explain what that's all about?
Yeah, so we didn't know that either coming in. I mean, from the waste management industry, we knew a lot about the different forms of waste we create here. But Toronto, the perimeter of Toronto is dotted with what we call fripperies. And they're these big warehouses full of secondhand clothing. And they come from even the States, all different places around. And what they do is they sort them and grade them. And I think 98% of them make their way over to the African market, which is problematic in a lot of ways. But we are a country and place that is working in that landscape.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've always felt like I have a clear conscience because I donate all the clothes that I'm done with. But that's a bit of a cop-out you're suggesting.
Yeah, the secondhand market, we're so saturated with overconsumption. So the amount of clothing we're purchasing today versus 10 years ago is astronomical. So gone are the days where anyone really needed clothing. The secondhand market is just so saturated. The majority of the stuff that we end up selling overseas is a lot of the garbage and the things that we don't want anymore, the things that didn't sell in the secondhand stores, the things that people aren't willing to buy secondhand. And these countries are having to deal with the waste that's also being sent their way. And it's taking away from them selling their own internal products to their communities as well. So it's problematic in the sense that even if we wore our clothes for half as long as we do now, we would decrease that problem probably tenfold.